So we're downtown now. Obviously we had to come downtown, but you see this reaction now to this bus, yeah? The bus got a little bit of a squeak and it don't want to go past it. By this stage of training, 90+% of horses wouldn't be taking notice of that. But the problem you've got with her, which we can show you in the yard. So you put the harness on, she wouldn't stand still. Now she'll stand still and put the harness on, but as soon as you got it on, she starts to fidget. Come on. So that manhole, she don't want to go over. Well, on the way down here, she's trotted over loads of manholes, walked over them. But now she's in town, they're not manholes anymore, they're something else. What I'm saying to you is, you can, this horse, Tony, is going to go over, so I'll bring its head this way so it can see the lorry. But you see this, look, it'll go past, look, yeah? Well, just change your gear there, the man's changed his, you know, you can hear him just clonk the gears, so, as he changes, but she's coping all right. So, we're making progress, but this should have been the beginning of last week, not now. So we're a good week behind. Now that doesn't mean to say that she won't catch up at all, but she's a week behind. Now all it is with this horse is quite interesting. So here, like now, this is a prime example, right? You've got a manhole on the pavement and a manhole there, and she don't know what to do. Go on, get up. Go on. Walk. So get up. And I can afford to do what I'm doing here now. Right, stand still, baby. I can afford to do that here because it's quiet here and there's very little traffic. Remember, I've got, you know, the co-pilot on the back, the other trainer, Ree, which is, you know, telling me, okay, you're all right, you can do it. No, you can't do it, you know. So now this is a prime example. So you've got a bus here. These buses, whether they're single or double decker, they're quiet at the front. Hear it now, nothing. And the engine's at the back. So not only do they see themselves in the you know, in the windows down the side, but then they get the engine. They wonder where they're looking for the front of a lorry. You know, they can't quite make it out. They get used to it as long as you've seen enough of them. So here's a big one coming up now, and we've got to just got to be able to stand here or sit here and not start shouting and hollering and pulling on its mouth. No good at all. That's not training. Because she's got a rubber bit in, and I've heard people say to me, well, what you should do is, no, what I should do is what I do. Because I found out over a long period of time that, you know, it's the best way. Well, put it this way, it's the best way for me. Other people say, well, put a Liverpool and you can put a rubber bit in afterward. No good. If you start them in a look, for me, I'm not telling anyone else to do what I do, you know, just. So I'm just going to stop here because the yellow line has stopped, yeah? Walk up, baby, come on. And I'm just going to stop here like that. Whoa, babe, stand still. And get her to stand. Now, it's a funny old thing, in this environment, if you look down there, you can just see her legs gone straight at rest, right? She's, so we got another lorry, come on, up you go. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. So now we're going to move forward because we've got a nice big one coming down here. We can stand here, it doesn't matter. I mean, obviously there's two of us. We wouldn't be here on our own, you know, doing this job. Because this is dangerous, make no mistake. You know, this is where... So that's a new thing we've just noticed. That lorry there, that big lorry now, at a certain speed, at a low speed, as the man turns the wheel to the left or right, it says lorry turning left, lorry turning right. It doesn't do it, you know, over a certain, but if you're, I suppose, under about 10 mile an hour, that voice comes on now. It's on, you know, a few lorries we've seen. But it only comes on when the lorry's going slow. That's another thing. Another thing for is electric cars now. So they got cars that don't make any noise at all. Well, they come up by the side here. So one of the things we have on different carts, we have different things. But a mirror is a very good idea. You know, just to look back, the same as you do on your car or a bicycle. Have a mirror there where you can look back and just see what's coming up behind you, and therefore position yourself. We had one on here, but it got broke in the yard, so we've ordered another one to go on now. But you need a fair size mirror, like as big as a door mirror on a car, you know, or a small lorry mirror is ideal. Because they're tubular, they normally go on a tubular frame on the door of a lorry, so therefore they're quite easy to fix to these sort of vehicles, them being tubular as well and roughly the same dimensions. So she's standing there all right. The trouble we've had with her is getting her to concentrate, and she's terribly impatient for standing doing anything. But it's my belief that when she comes, what we call comes, or it's in her last stage of training, and I can say, yeah, I know it's going to be another few days a week, and she'll be there, she'll be, you know, safe, confident and happy, and she will live in that world. So what I mean is, as soon as you put the harness on, she'll have enough interest in what's going on around her. She won't be frightened of anything. You know, I mean, obviously there's some things that might frighten her if something fell off a lorry or something. But lorries, vans, motor cars, motorcycles, you know, anything like that that you see on the public highway won't bother her, and it will be of enough interest, right? Enough interest to keep her interest, you know, in what she's doing, and that will be her world, and she'll be perfectly happy there. And you get horses like that, you know, good ponies and horses are that way. So they'll play and they'll dance about in a paddock. That, you know, they'll come in, say, an open barn or something like that, and they'll play with each other, you know. But as soon as you put the bridle on, you know, or their harness on, they're at work, you know, and they're happy in what they're doing. So down there where them big lorries are going, there's a big distribution depot, and that's, you know, that's fine for us, because we can park here, we can come up there, we can be the other side, we can even be down that road when them great big Arctics are coming. All right, mate, how you doing? Lovely, thank you. So you see this lorry coming down here now? That's all right. Now, that there, you'd go, well, what's the matter with that lorry? Well, it's not a box van, which most vehicles are these days, and it's got something funny in the back. It's got some actual sheep hurdles, if you can believe it, and they're bouncing and moving about. Well, to horse, we would look at it, know what it is straight away, right? No, it's nothing to be concerned about. But a horse don't think that way. So we've got a big Arctic coming up now, and you see how the reaction is better, isn't it, than the last one that come up, yeah? But the secret, I suppose, if there is any secret, well, the first thing to learn is they're all individuals, and what will work for one will not work for another. You cannot produce them on a conveyor belt. That's why writing, you know, a book on how to break horse, you know, or train horse for driving is nonsense, in my opinion. Because if they're all individuals, how are you going to do it? You'd have to write a lot of books, and you get certain types of horses, you know, in their breeding, certainly, and, you know, the way they are in their temperament. You get different ones, but you can get horses as quiet as a lamb. You know, everything does everything, and one day it'll explode, because there's something there that will blow its mind. You know, what it is, I couldn't say to you what it would be. But I've had horse, you know, put it in, put the harness on, no problem. You know, start its training, do what you're going to do, everything's going absolutely beautiful, and then, I don't know, it could be like as silly as a paper bag blowing down the road is enough to, you know, really upset it. These are beautiful, these skip lorries. Well, I say they're beautiful for us. So when they've got a container on the back, i.e. a skip, right, the chains bang against the side, makes a terrible clattering noise. When you're driving along in a motor car or a van, you don't really engage with the outside noises very much of the traffic. Walk on, babe, walk on. So you don't engage with it because you're in your little cocoon. You've got your radio on, you've got whatever you're doing, talking, you know, with a passenger or something. But if you was in an open top car, you know, a convertible, where if all the sounds are there, well, you know, these dear little things have to, you know, live with that. They're out there, they're not inside a cocoon, are they? They're out there, they've got to do it. So the secret, if there's no secret to training horses. The first thing to learn is they're all individuals. So what'll work for one will definitely not work for another. Guarantee that. Go on. Walk on. Come on. That's it. So you don't want to go over manholes yet. Earlier on in the film, you'll see trotting over manholes, no trouble at all. But manholes now down here are different things. You can fall down them or whatever. They must think, you know. So, as I say, this should be at a far more advanced stage than it is. In other ways, it's very good, and if you can get it to concentrate on what it's doing, which has been our main problem. It's very, although it's like 5-year-old, it's very babyish in its head. Lovely structure of its body for its breed, you know, everything's right like that. But just, it's not there in its head. So like this thing here, that square, right, it wouldn't surprise me if it looked at it. You know, look, I don't mean look at it, I'll just turn its head to look at it. But it wouldn't surprise me if it looked at it and shot back. So here's a lovely Arctic coming now. We're on a nice straight bit of road. She's got time to adjust herself to what's coming, yeah? Now, obviously, we bring them downtown when we think they're ready for the job. But that don't mean to say that's true. Walk on, baby. Walk on, darling. Steady now. Steady, babe. Steady. Walk on, babe. Walk up. Come on, darling. Come on, babe. Walk up. That's all right. There's a good girl. There's a good baby. But you've got to get them used to these things, right? So come on, babe, walk up. Walk up. Steady now, steady. Steady. Get up, go on. Get up, go on. Come over. Go on, babe, up you go. Go on, babe, go on. Walk on. Walk on, babe. Walk on, darling. Walk on, my little baby. Go on, my sugar plum. So that's lovely, yeah? So the first two, that one's all right. Thank you, sorry to hold you up, mate. So, that's lovely. But you've got to have the nerve. I don't know whether it is nerve, really. A lot of people think, oh, you're so brave. I'm not brave at all. But I know what I'm doing, yeah? So I know what my horse will do, you know, or as much as you can know, yeah? And we're doing this and controlling this horse, not with a great big lump of iron, with a curb chain on the slots, you know, or anything like that, inflicting pain on it. And please don't tell me it's not pain. You know, if you've got a curb chain under your jaw and a lump of iron going through the middle of it, and you've got a cantilever on them slots, that's painful. Make no mistake. So if I can do it, that was a lovely one, you see. So the front half of that coach there is quiet, isn't it? And then all of a sudden you've got the big engine noise at the back. So here's one, he's moving on, he's driving lovely, this fella, isn't doing anything wrong. Come on, baby, come on, babe. Got a lot of brakes going off, air brakes, etc. Come on, darling, on you go, there's a good sugar plum. So That's what you've got to do, you know. So it's not that I'm terribly brave or irresponsible, which, you know, certainly people could argue the point, but it's not that. They're here to be trained. They've got to get used to it. How else are they going to get used to it? You can't run a film and let them watch that, can you? Come on, baby. So you just got to be kind. Most importantly, you've got to be firm. And you've got to cajole them, kid them, into doing what you want them to do. So now we're going back on the country road. You know, we're going out of town now. But we'll just jig along here nicely like that. And there'll be cars overtaking them. But all the way down this road, you can get Arctics, all sorts of different lorries and vans. So we got one coming past now, see? Walk up, baby. You know, like a van sort of thing, you know? Go on, bud. Now, a lot of people would say, get down and, you know, get down and be by its head. That's not no good, in my opinion. It's only my opinion. You know, there's plenty of people broke horses, done a perfectly good job without my help, but they do it their way, I do it mine. What I'm trying to do is not for the horse to have confidence in me, although that's important. It's having confidence in itself. Being brave enough for when I asked it to go on, it goes on, it walks on. Yeah, when I asked it to stop. So, you know, they've changed the law now and I asked the people to pass, you know, 2 metres away and like that. Well, obviously that fella didn't, or he's not read the highway code. But you're going to get that. There will always be people like that. There will always be people that, you know, have made a mistake, like we all do when we drive. Anyone that uses a public highway, you make a mistake. You know, you're coming out your driveway, you put your nose out, and all of a sudden there's a car there, you know, or a lorry or whatever, right? So we got to train horses that they can cope with these conditions. And if you say to me, oh yeah, but in today's traffic, that's the biggest lot of rubbish I've ever heard in all my life. Well, you turn the clock back, if you go on to YouTube, and I think it's called Pathé News, and it's an old newsreel programme from donkey's years ago, back in the 30s. Well, you see London street scenes then, right? And that was the era when you had like traction engines on the same public highway all the time. Steam shovels, steam cranes, steam rollers, you know, blowing bloody whistles, steam belching out. Well, they didn't, you know, horses learnt to cope with that situation. I worked briefly, walk up, baby. Walk up, baby. I worked at Young's Brewers in London. Go on, my babe, up you go. Good boy, that's it. So even though I'm talking, I'm really talking to myself half the time. I'll take my voice up so, you know, the pony can hear me. But when he's doing it, you know, I'm thinking it and saying it at the same time. You know, go on, babe, you can do it like that. And every time that does something that the horse does it itself, so you're not going to its head, you're not leading him past it. I see loads of that. You know, they put horse in. I'm not saying it's wrong. If it's right for you, that's lovely. But to me, if you put a little pony in the shafts and you've got someone leading it at its head, I don't see that's any good at all. If you're going to do it at all, you're still just as effective if you're doing it. If you're doing it by its side, by its rib cage, but certainly not by its head, it wouldn't be for me. I'm not saying it's wrong. For someone else, that's lovely. Steady, my baby. Steady, man. Steady, darling. big old truck coming, an 8-wheeler. You see that there, that particular truck's got a high hab on it, a crane on it basically, right? Now, that to a horse or pony is different. It's like when they see a convertible car, one with a trailer on behind. A lot of the people say to me, oh, the trailer was rattling. Well, most trailers do rattle, yes they do. But a lot of the fright is, or the surprise is they see the car, they've seen 100 of them by now, we'll say, right? And they see their first one with a trailer. Well, they can't put that together, they what's that behind it? Do you see what I mean? But after they've seen half a dozen, and that's it, my darling baby. So there you go. We're on our way home now. If anything interesting, we'll film it so you can see how she's coping. But if you've subscribed to our channel, you'll get notified when the next film comes up. There's normally one a week, sometimes two. And you can see the progress. We just done one a while ago, Tonto. Well, that was real bad. I had a bad experience, and it was terrible. It's similar to this one, but maybe worse than this. Well, yeah, it would be definitely worse than this. It's a great big horse, and he was just frightened, poor little thing. So we built it up, and now you can drive it anywhere around the town, out in the country, anywhere. And people say, the other thing is, just to finish off, people say, well, I'm only going to drive on a country lane. That can be the worst place in the world. If you look at them old Pape News, horses crisscrossing everywhere over, and there's all sorts of horses, and right amongst them you've got the motorised vehicles when they come in. Well, they cope with a lot. But when they, Pigfords, the big removal firms, they're still going, I think, Pigfords. Walk up, baby. Walk up, darling. All right. Now, I'm not going to push you, I'm not going to push it on. All right. Just there. Well, come up, darling. Now, I'll tell you what I think that is with that particular lorry. It's got a sheet on the top of the lorry. The sheet is not moving. It's on high tension with straps coming down the side. Sometimes you've got to remember horses' hearing's far superior to ours. I'm not saying it was true in that case, but if you look at them when you're driving along in your motor car and you see them belts whipping about in the wind, as the lorry goes along faster, they'll vibrate, if you like, in the wind. Well, that makes quite a loud noise. You can hear it out here, and sometimes horse picks up on that. So now it's seen a strange lorry, big old lorry coming down, and it can hear something that it's not heard before, and it can't quite place the two together. Again, when it happens 3 or 4 times, it won't be a problem. Now, this horse has just gone away to trot. I didn't give it the command to trot, or asked it to trot, but it did. But I'm not gonna argue with that today. Today's not the time to correct that, because she'd like to trot up here. Lovely, let her do it. I'm just bringing her over to this sign a bit. Come up, darling. Go on, my darling. Up you go. Go on. Go on. The other thing, I would not advise anyone to do anything. I can only tell you what I do. And the reason I don't advise anyone to do anything, one, I ain't seen the horse they're talking about. And 2, if you see them and look at them and understand them a bit, then you know what you can do. But one thing I would say is, when you start out, this is going to sound a contradiction, but when you start out, your blinker, like on this little girl, we've got the blinker tight to her eyebrow. Yeah, not tight enough to rub her, but I mean it's tight enough to it. Now we could let that out. So the problem she's got, this little girl, is eye-sided things. you know, they can cope perfectly well with, all right. They can cope perfectly well with eye-sided things, but when you put the blinkers on, you've taken away 80% of their vision. 80%. Look on a chart of the line of sight of a horse, then you imagine in the blinkers, you cut it down by 80%. So they can't go out like this, can they, at an angle, because they've got the blinkers on. They can't look behind them. So, you know, they lost it, so they've got to put a great deal of trust in you. You know, so they've got to trust you to start with, but the most important thing is to get them built up to their own confidence. So what we might do with this particular horse, we've closed its blinkers up. But what we will do as time goes on, when you see another film of her, you'll see that they've come away from her head, giving her a vision upwards. Walk up, babe. So a vision, you know, like what might, I mean, I'm not saying this is the case, but some horses, you close the thing and everything's good, but we always open it, and we always open up regardless. So you might close them up tight on their head, tight, yeah? But then we'll open them up, now they can look out the top of the blinker. Well, obviously you've got a big eye lorry, they're looking at that, aren't they? And they don't see the lorry till it's got to get in front of their head before they can, or in front of the blinker before they can see it. But they can see, before they see the front, they see the height of it, because they can look out the top of the blinkers, yeah? Walk on, darling. Walk on. Now, I've had people say to me that have been out with me, and they say, well, why don't you, you know, give it a tap with the whip, or, you know, give it a touch on, you know, no. That's no good, because what I'm doing then, she wanted to slow up and stop, right? Well, as long as it's safe to do it, in this, no, we're just walking along. So what I mean is, if we've got a car behind, if we stop momentarily, it's not going to really interfere with them, is it? So now we're going to come on, babe, trot. I want to come to the crown of the road. You can see this here, look, it's very awkward. If you've got a motor car coming fast up there, it looks like it's coming out the ground, you know, on a lift. Steady, my darling baby. Steady, my little sugar plum. That's it. But you're out on these country lanes, people say, I'm only going to drive on a country lane, so I don't really... You need to have that through the heaviest of traffic, trained properly to cope with it, and then you should keep it, in my opinion, you should keep it in the traffic every now and again, just to keep everything, you know, everything good. Now here, on this particular road, we've had grain lorries, Arctics. We've had Arctics bringing the straw off the fields. Obviously every conceivable type of tractor you could think of, and telehandlers I think they're called, and obviously ordinary lorries, we'll say ordinary lorries, you know, flatbeds, Arctics, 8-wheelers, taking in fertiliser in, it's a big farm down here, in a big farm, and it's the main yard for the farm, and it's where the grain stores are. So this little tiny road, you could meet anything on, and it's the same anywhere. Anywhere you go, you've always got the men coming around to get the refuse, the dustbin men. They've always got their flashing lights, and they're lifting up the bins and dropping. Well, we know when our one comes, or we know when a few come, and we know their depot's not far from ours, from where we live. So we'll go up there, and we might park up there at 4 o'clock time when most of them are coming back, and you might see 5, 6, maybe even 10 loads coming in. And the horses get used to it, they've seen it, it registers, and they can cope with it. We just had horse in now. I mean, this sounds absolutely ridiculous, but people don't believe it. They think, oh, it's been in, you know, working in a city, being driven in a town, never really been out in the countryside much. So it come down just to some broader training. Yeah, that's all. Well, we took it out. When it saw cattle, it frightened the life out of it. It wanted to leap, jump, spin round in the road, everything. I mean, obviously, we knew that might be the case because we knew the history of the horse and where it was educated in a town. But Arctic, coming right past it at speed, coming right towards it at speed, wouldn't even look at it. Just stroll past like it didn't exist. So, as I say, so if you subscribe to the channel and like it and share it, that's very good. You know, now why do I want that? Well, it's not for any work because we're swamped out with work. We've got, you know, a great deal of work in front of us. 2 years work, I would say, or put it this way, there's a lot of horses that are booked in that are foals, yearlings, 2-year-olds, so they got a place when they actually have their 3rd birthday, because that's when we take them. We don't touch them before then because the horse is not mature enough. I mean, obviously it can learn some bad habits in that time as well, but that's our problem to sort out. But basically, you know, their little limbs and everything are strong enough by then to do the work, in my opinion. It's only my opinion again. You might get one that's immature in its body, and we've done it before. What we've done, the horse might come, we'll get the harness on, we get it doing to a certain thing, and then send it home, you know, for a few months just to mature up and then come back and finish them off. But so this little girl today, it's her first time down in this part. We've been to another small town, but just let her have a look down the high street, never really got involved. Today was the first time she's been involved with the traffic, and although you see her move and shy away and like that, remember there's 2 of us on board, yeah, and there's Ryu's highly experienced and knows exactly what to do, but we do not go to his head, right, unless we have to, yeah, unless we have to. So, I mean, obviously, if the first time it encounters something, you know how it's going to be with the second one. You see her improve, even in this short little film. She's improved a bit from when she saw the first Arctic come past her. When you've got 3 Arctics coming towards it, and the last one or the 4th one, she'll be better with. But they only learn by doing it, and it's the only way they will learn. And there's an old saying the old boys used to say, what makes horses is miles. And that's perfectly true, but it's the miles that you do, isn't it? If you want them to be good in traffic, so they're safe, confident and happy, which is the most happy. Why shouldn't they be bloody happy? Definitely they should. Happy doing what they want to do, look forward to going out. Got their ears pricked, just their old tail just swinging like that. Like this particular horse, we got his tail just with a little loop of string around his bridging, because the way she shows her tension is to make her tail go like a propeller, you know, round and round. So there's our mate, the paper boy. He's the oldest paper boy in the country, I should think, and he delivers hundreds of papers. Yeah. So there you go. You can see her tail from side to side. Her ears are not hard, they're rubbery. Although she's picking up information with her ears, you know, they're not, what I mean is they're not, you know, moving sharp. You know, they're rubbery. And you'll see her in a little while. We'll be coming down the same stretch of road, or some road a bit similar, and they'll be laid out to the side and they'll just be flopping along, just bouncing, you know. But yeah, big lesson today for her, and we just want to take her home now. But you see now, if you look at her now, I mean, she's vastly improved, but she keep looking at everything, you know. Like she'll look at this little opening here, and then she'll go over there and look across the other side of her. She'll look up here, look what's going on here. She don't really concentrate much on what she's going or what she's doing. So, but that'll come, as I say. She'll find enough interest, or you could argue she'll get bored with what she looks at from